Welcome back, class, to today's lecture. Today we're going to be going over the topic of gamesense. Now, gamesense is a very large and broad topic, so cannot be unpacked in a single video, or lecture even, as I am Professor HF today. So we're going to focus on the what I believe to be the most fundamental and basic part of gamesense, which is process of elimination. Now, we all know process of elimination. We can all apply that to Counter-Strike at a very basic level. You know, if bomb is planted and it's not planted A, then bomb must be planted B. All right, that's process of elimination. But what if we start to factor in positioning, guessing where CTs are, pre-aiming and pre-firing angles, which angles you're going to clear first, how to actually entry? That's where we're going to get into more detail. All right, so we're going to first go over some terms before we go over all that, and just make sure that everybody's on the same page. So first things first, we're going to go over the basic CT positions on Mirage. Now, I'm not saying like this is ticket, this is bench. No. All right, I'm saying where CTs are most likely going to play in a gun round 5 versus 5. All right, you're probably going to have a CT right here. He's the site anchor, just as you're going to have a site anchor on B, probably, you know, not actually van, but maybe bench. Let's just say bench, right? Then you're going to have your primary rotator, your first rotator, which is the window player. Okay, now we'll get into that term in just a second here. Let me finish filling out those places. Then you're going to have your secondary rotators, which are the cat and the jungle/connector player. All right, now what do I mean by first and secondary rotators? I'm saying that if like flashes are thrown onto B site, or there's whatever, just there's a smoke down or something, window is the first guy that's going to rotate over. All right, this will then affect the connector player by making him either pick up mid from connector, either go through jungle possibly and pick up the window boost, or potentially just fall off into jungle or fall back into site and just completely give up that part of the map. I'm not saying that the primary rotator doesn't affect the secondary rotator, but this will be the main player that will run over to the site first. Same thing goes for if there's smokes over to A or something, he will then be the first person over. He will go jungle. The cat player is not moving. The B site anchor is not moving. Okay. Now, let's say that B is being executed again, and the window player is now over on B, and it's very apparent that B is going to be executed, right? Then you have your secondary rotator, the jungle player, come over, and then potentially your tertiary rotator, the actual anchor of a site, might come over. So now that we have the basic positions down, let's do a very basic example of process of elimination, okay? Now remember these positions, okay? So let's say you're executing a site, right? You kill one guy's CT, and you kill one guy's site. Now, where are the next CTs going to be? What angles should you be looking at, and how should you position yourself to better take on these fights? All right? Now, CTs are most likely, well, the remaining positions actually for CTs to be alive would be the window player, the cat player, and the B anchor, as you killed the A site anchor here and the A rotator here. Okay, now not everybody is going to stay in the same exact position. They're going to react to the fact that you just executed site. So it's likely that there's going to be a guy jungle, potentially two, but most likely a guy connector as well. This window player may jump out. You might double up connector. That's always an option, but you're still going to want to hold jungle. And then the B anchor will most likely go through kitchen when rotating, and from there they can take the option of going into jungle, or they can go through CT. But this guy has the longest rotate time, so there is time for the Ts to push in here and take control of CT and completely cover this entire area, so by the time the CT comes out of kitchen, he is dead. All right, that's just something to keep in mind. So now, with these updated positions, what should you be looking at? It's very obvious that these two are the first people to rotate over, so this is your primary spot that you're going to be looking at when you're planting on site and when you're taking site. So, well, after you've killed the people at least. So that means that planting back default or back triple is the best option, right? Most likely back triple, or front triple actually. No, this is back triple, I'm right. Would be the better option, as you can play T-ramp and you can play CT with this. But that's just, something to keep in mind. So then, after you've completely secured jungle and connector, maybe with a smoke, maybe by getting the kills, or actually while you're doing this, that's when you and a buddy are going to push in here, maybe flash over here, and then you can take over this area and potentially pinch the people in jungle after killing the B anchor rotator. Okay. Now let's go on to a bit more challenging of an example. Now remember these positions, okay? Let's say that you're executing mid, and this is going to end up being an A split, all right? So you have, let's say you got one guy here, and then you have 3 people who are taking mid on the T side, all right? You then, let me kill those real quick. You then kill a person on cat, and you kill a person in connector. Now, what positions are you going to be looking at when you're executing a site? When you're coming up connector as from like mid, and when you're coming out of ramp and palace. Now, if you're the one who's coming out of palace, nobody has been affected in the CT range, so there's probably a site anchor here, or maybe default if he's pushed up a bit. Okay, you do not have to worry about the A site rotator, as he is dead. But you do have to worry about somebody potentially in jungle when you're coming up, right? Jungle is very important in this because maybe the person that died in connector was the actual window player. Sometimes people will play a 3-0-2 setup on CT side, which instead of having a window player, you actually, oh, excuse me, Photoshop, you actually have 2 people in the connector area, so there's not actually somebody there. There's one guy in connector, one guy playing bottom stairs. So that's just something to keep in mind. So that's all that the palace player really has to worry about, is either somebody CT, default, or jungle. There's no reason to check ramp. There's no reason to hold connector. Most likely in lower level games, you're going to see the person coming out of palace maybe watching stairs or something, which you don't need to watch as your players are coming up from connector, and they will actually get that kill for you. You need to more focus on the angles that they cannot see. Now, when you're coming out of T-ramp, angles that you have to be careful about. Your primary angle that you have to be worried about is ticket booth here. Okay, most likely that a CT is going to be there. If he's not there, then you have to worry about default, because remember, your palace player first is going to be peeking into jungle. He will not first peek into CT. So that must be your job to peek CT before the palace player can peek CT. All right, and now as the player's coming up connector, okay, when you're coming up connector, things that you have to worry about is a player, possibly cat, maybe the B site anchor. Okay, came up from bench and is now pushing cat to replace the actual cat player. You have to worry about the window player still being in window, although it is rare that the window player stays window with both of his mid players dying. And you have to worry about a guy in jungle that potentially your palace player cannot kill. Now, a good spot to plant on this setup would be back triple. Or sorry, front triple. God damn it, I'm getting them confused. So front triple would be a very good spot to plant, as you can maintain a person on cat here who can potentially kill the B anchor if he comes up from cat, or he could potentially kill the B anchor if he goes through jungle, as if this cat player goes into ladder room, he can then hold this angle, okay? Or he could kill the guy who's sitting in jungle, the window player, and he can just kill him by going into ladder room. So you're going to want to plant back default, well, back triple here. God damn it, front triple. Because you can also peek that plant spot from cat. Okay. Now, how did I come to that conclusion? Like, how can you start to make these ideas? So let's say that you are, we'll do the same example again. Okay. So you have the B side anchor left, the CT anchor left, and the A anchor left, and then the window player left, as your cat player is dead and your connector player is dead. Okay, so what would you do if you were on the CT side in this position? If you were a B anchor and your cat guy died, and your connector player died. That means that they're taking mid, okay? Now, most players in lower ranks will just sit on site. This is not a good idea, alright? If you sit on site and they do a B split, and they come out apps, and they come out mid, and it's going to be a B split because you know that they have mid control, now you're solo, fighting everybody coming out, and unless you get a hero play, you'll be dead. Even if your teammate rotates over, you're going to be dead. He cannot help you. You have angles that he cannot see, alright? So what you really would want to do as a CT here is fall off into kitchen into a more passive position in which you can maybe get a pick as they're executing B site, and then you can wait for your rotators to come over. So you'll be moved to kitchen. Alright, then the window player. If you're a window player and you're short and connector players die, you immediately fall off window. Alright, most likely you're going to sit in jungle and potentially hold the cross onto site, or you're going to hold connector. This is a very good angle that you can hold from the little cubby in jungle, especially with an op. So you're probably going to be playing jungle, or there's an option that you fall off and sit behind the little box right here and watch vent, as players can now boost into window without a teammate. They can do a solo boost. Now, if you're a CT player, the only thing that you're probably going to do here is you're going to fall back just a little bit. You don't want to be all the way out. You don't want to be susceptible to somebody in connector. You're just going to be holding the palace walkout and then the default cross, okay? You're not going to be worried about somebody coming out ramp. No. That's for your jungle player to handle. So with these updated positions, okay, it now looks like somebody is right here. Somebody, let's just say that they go jungle, and then somebody is here. Okay, now when you're a T, you can start to anticipate where players are going to be, okay? So now when you're coming up connector and you're coming out a ramp and palace, you can really predict, okay? This jungle player is probably not watching palace aggressively because he knows that the connector people are going to be coming up. He's probably going to be holding connector, okay? So the palace player then can wide swing the CT guy who is then holding him, alright, while this ramp player, counterintuitively, is going to push the jungle guy with the connector players, maybe secure site as well, or maybe trade out the guy CT if the palace player does die. Now this is the complete opposite of what I just told you earlier, because we were just assuming where people would go. Now we're actually putting ourselves in the CT shoes and going, if I was playing this position, where would I go? Now, I understand that this is very content heavy, and it isn't like my normal video formats where I go in-game and I show people like actual positions and all that. I feel that this is the only format where I can really express game sense, technically. It's very difficult to do it in-game without like another person with me or whatever. But if you're struggling with this and you need to ask questions, please feel free in the comments below. Please feel free to also add me on Steam or Discord to ask questions, and potentially join my Discord and just, talk to me and ask those questions. I think that I covered what I wanted to cover. It's kind of process of elimination. It all starts off with process of elimination of actually determining where the CTs are, and what the piece of information that I'll leave you with that you can then apply into different maps and other games and other game modes and other scenarios is that if you're a T, and it doesn't matter what you're in, like a 2v2, 3v3, or just the start of the round or whatever, right? Think about if you were a CT in this situation playing whatever site, how would you react to the information that you guys have already given up, okay? How would you react to the T team? And when you start to do that, one, it's going to take you a little bit to really think about it and really start guessing correctly, because you'll get some things wrong. You'll be like, there has to be a guy market here. The B rotator has to be there. But no, sometimes there's different situations in which, maybe they stack A, maybe they go for a different mid setup, maybe they stack B, maybe they're on an eco and you didn't think so. Or there's different situations where the CTs will be playing different positions. But once you start to do it more and more and more, you'll better be able to read and guesstimate where the CTs actually lie. And with that, you're going to be able to do it on the fly faster as well. All right, be prepared to get this wrong. Be prepared to make bad calls. but also be prepared to slowly see yourself improve at this over time and get a much better grasp of where people can be. And the purpose of getting a better grasp of where people can be not only affects the amount of kills that you'll get. If you know where they are, it's easier to go find the person and kill them than if you have to clear out every single angle. And then hand in hand with that goes how much time it takes you to do something in Counter-Strike. Now, obviously there's times where you want to take your time slowly clearing an angle, there's no rush, but other times you don't have a lot of seconds left in the round. You need to do things fast, so it helps to be able to assume where people are going to be. This is also very important in clutch situations, expecting where the CTs are going to be, or the Ts for that matter, and then working off of that. That will win you a lot more of your clutch rounds. So thank you all for watching my lectures. I am Professor Liam, just for this video. Don't worry, it's not, the format's probably going to die because nobody's going to like it. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good day, and I will see you next time.